Video games are made to make you feel like a badass. That often means power fantasy, right? Brute forcing your way through. What about the thinking man's badassery? The clever stuff. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 badass yet genius tricks in video games. Starting off with number 10, killing all the orc captains at once in Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor. Starting off with something that, it's pretty low on the genius meter, but it is undeniably badass. They made it possible to kill every orc captain at the same time in Shadow of Mordor. It's not really a trick per se, it's just something that takes a whole lot of time-consuming tedium to get right. It's really about pushing the game mechanics past the point where you would think is possible. One of those things that you'd think they wouldn't let you do, but it can be done. So to pull this off, you need to systematically hunt down every single orc captain on either map, dominate them, and make them a bodyguard for your dominated war chief. That's all you have to do. It's unnecessary, it's time-consuming, and at this point, there's not really a lot of reason to do it other than to screw around, but the game does let you do it, so at some point it's worth a try. The most annoying part is that in order to promote each orc to bodyguard, every single one needs to complete a quest. They're short, but when you got 20 orcs to go through, it starts to get very tedious. Once everyone's working for your war chief, you just call in your war chief for a meeting. He'll bring every bodyguard with him. In any other game, you'd probably just make it so 5 or 4 random ones show up, but here he's got the entire frickin' entourage. And that means you can kill them all instantly using the dispatch ability. You're essentially just killing all your own minions at this point, but it's something that's, I guess it's satisfying seeing every single orc drop dead one after the other in the army tab. Technically, you're not killing every single orc. The other warlords aren't affected by this, but all the captains drop dead, and it's glorious to see in real time. And number 9 is turning the game into Dynasty Warriors in Darksiders. An amazing glitch in the first Darksiders game lets you turn the usually empty Ashlands into a total war zone. The trick here is actually pretty simple to pull off. You just gotta find this well in the Ashlands area near the end of the game and fall down into it, climb back out. That's all you have to do. Every time you do that, 2 more demon riders spawn out in the desert. It's supposed to be that only 2 riders ever respawn, but because of some oversight as to how enemy spawns work, the game just keeps making new ones, and that adds to the pile every time you drop down this well and climb out. So you do it a ton of times, and eventually you'll have an entire army to contend with, and it is a sight to behold. On consoles, there was a hard limit to the amount of dudes you could spawn. It would crash the game after a while, but on PC you can pretty much spawn enemies for days and the game remains. It's stable enough, I guess. There's some slowdown, but it maybe adds to the dynamics a little bit of watching war ride into a sea of enemies and smack them around. This trick still works in the remastered version of the game. It's pretty useful if you want to just farm for souls. It's really easy to pull off, and the visual you get of this horde of demon riders circling the desert is straight up badass. It's one of my favorite glitches I've ever seen, and it's something literally anybody can do as long as you're far enough in the game to trigger it. Something else anybody can do is subscribe, and since surprisingly few people who watch the channel actually do that, we have to ask, and we feel no shame for it. We believe we're providing a good service for folks with these videos, and all we ask in return is a simple click of the subscribe button. So please do that. We appreciate it a whole lot, and we hope it brings you some stuff that you want to see. Without any further ado, let's get back to the video. And number 8 is bombing yourself across the map in Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Finding exploits and glitches is almost half the fun of these games. It's something we've covered on this channel pretty extensively if you know where to look. But one trick that I've somehow overlooked is the classic bomb jump or wind bomb trick. The idea here is you can abuse slow-mo to drop 2 bombs right next to each other in mid-air, detonate one, and that causes the other one to ram Link which should, in theory, propel him forward with great force and speed. It sounds easier than it is. It doesn't sound particularly easy either. But when you do manage to pull it off, it's really satisfying. Super badass on top of that. I mean, you're essentially propelling yourself with the force of a bomb while doing a slick slow-mo jump. The mechanics here are surprisingly in-depth, though. You do have to do a forward jump by holding up a shield to start off, and then very quickly drop a normal round bomb, tap Z and R to trigger slow-mo, and then press up on the D-pad to switch to the square bomb, which you drop that, then quickly switch back to the round bomb and detonate that. It's a real finger puzzle that put a lot of fighting games to shame. It requires some practice to get the order of operations right, but once it comes together, the results are pure magic. Link goes flying across the map like he got shot out of a freaking cannon. What's impressive is that it's not really a glitch. The physics interactions here are intentional. It's why this trick hasn't been patched out of the game, while so many others have. This is just the game working as intended. It's just what you're doing is highly unlikely to happen naturally. So even if you know how to do the trick, it can still be pretty tough to pull off. A lot of things have to be right for it to work, like the box bomb might not properly work if you're not facing one of the 4 cardinal directions. The bomb always drops relative to the compass, not Link's position, so if you're not facing the right way, it is possible it will only glance Link instead of hit him square on the back. There's a lot of little things to consider here, but once you get your head around it, it's one of the most entertaining ways to travel around Hyrule. At number 7 is the Doom Can in BioShock. It doesn't get simpler than this. The Doom Can in BioShock is one of the most effective and brilliant ways to take out a Big Daddy. It's not something that's really necessary, because it's not like this game's super difficult, unless you're specifically playing on the hardest difficulty with Vita chambers disabled, but it's still a fun trick that's also kind of shocking. Maybe a little bit biologically shocking, perhaps? I mean, that's kind of the part that makes it badass, actually. All you have to do is find a trash can, or really anything. It doesn't really matter. But the trash can is why the thing's called the Doom Can. Just cover it in proximity grenades and use telekinesis to launch it at an unsuspecting Big Daddy. These things are normally the biggest threats in the game, but this trick absolutely destroys them. Seriously, look at this. I sent the guy flying all the way down this freaking hallway. The force of the blast launched him multiple yards away. This is one of those tricks where veteran gamers probably never tried because they just assumed that it wouldn't work. A lot of games register one hit when multiple explosions go off at once, or intentionally limit how much damage an enemy can take at any single time, but not the original BioShock. All those mines go off at once, and these bad guys are dead literally before they hit the ground. It's super easy to do, absurdly powerful, and I've never seen a guy in the game fly that far before. It's extremely satisfying to do, especially if you're like me and never really tried any exploits on these guys like this before.
No! Mr. Bubbles! Please!
And number 6 is glue supremacy in Batman Arkham Origins. I know Batman's supposed to be an unstoppable, prep-time-fueled, crime-fighting ubermensch, but I don't know, they may have taken that a little far with Arkham Origins. Seriously, between the electric gloves and the glue grenade, this dude is just unstoppable. I don't understand why these things were the only pieces of equipment he dropped for all future games. Remember, chronologically, Origins is the first game. The rest of them happened after. I guess he just wanted to give the bad guys a sporting chance. That's the only explanation. The trick here is another pretty simple one. It's all about abusing how incredibly powerful both the smoke bomb and the glue grenades are. When used together, you can pretty much clear out any predator section almost instantly. The only real concern is the guys with goggles. They can see through the smoke, but if you take them out first, it's whatever. Usually a good idea to do that anyway, because the goons in the area eventually find the body and 2 or 3 guys will gather around them, which is perfect for throwing down some smoke and then clearing house.
Where are you? He got me! This is it! What's that?
What makes a glue grenade so ridiculous is that it allows you to do a super fast stealth takedown that knocks them out in like a second, compared to a standard takedown, which takes longer. So what you need to be doing is just constantly spamming the glue grenade quick fire, which on controllers is the right trigger plus the right bumper. Just glue everybody up, ram their heads into concrete, and call it a day. Anyone who wanders into the smoke is dead meat. There's literally nothing they can do to stop you. Even after the smoke clears, you're basically unstoppable. There's, let's say, 2 guys left. You can easily get them both glued up as long as you're standing behind them, and the game lets you do a stealth takedown, even if you've already been caught. Taken all together, the trick is pretty absurdly badass. You're just knocking guys out left and right, and they can't even touch you. It's one of those intentional things. The developers designed this stuff to be strong, but maybe they didn't realize exactly how strong.
What the hell? What's with all this smoke?
At number 5, you can stop enemies by flipping them off in Brutal Doom. I know the Brutal Doom mod is kind of controversial among Doom diehards, but I mean, there's a lot of people who like Brutal Doom and still aren't crazy about the offend button, which is a new keybind that makes Doom Guy flip off his enemies, but it's got a secret function that's both bizarre, hilarious, and pretty badass at the same time. See, normally offend is just supposed to be like to aggro enemies. It immediately gets their attention when you do it and they start shooting at you. It even pisses off certain enemies like the Cyber Demon, and they get a special react animation where they roar at you and start shooting rockets much faster.
Fuck yourself!
Generally, using offend makes the game harder rather than easier, but it's got a secret little alternative function that doesn't make sense until you understand how the Doom engine works. When you flip the bird, something funny happens. It can stop lost souls in their tracks when they try to charge you, and it triggers secret doors and switches that normally require you to shoot them, and sometimes it can kill enemies entirely. It's rare, but yes, you can kill stuff just by flipping the bird in Brutal Doom, and it's glorious every time it happens. Why this works is that in order to trigger aggro, the offend command is essentially a gun in disguise. Every time you give the middle finger, it shoots out an invisible projectile that does almost no damage, which is used to get the enemy's attention. They tried to disguise it as best they could, but the underlying system means that a few things are always going to happen, causing lost souls to flinch if you flip them off. How Doom works under the hood is weird and kind of fascinating, but the bottom line is the offend command isn't just stupid fun, it's actually able to do a lot more than you might think.
Fuck yourself!
At number 4 is the Bone Ash Enhanced Cannon in Bloodborne, a special weapon that is far from practical, but badass I think it is indisputably so. And when it's used properly, it's also extremely effective. The trick here is to use the cannon weapon and enhance it with Bone Marrow Ash, which makes it so your next shot is significantly more powerful. There's not much of a trick beyond that part, but the genius part comes when you combine it with the, and pardon me if I do not pronounce this correctly, Reiter Palish trick weapon, which doubles as a gun. You can stun enemies using the trick weapon, then finish them off with the blast from the cannon. And because the Bone Ash only works on weapons on the left hand, it makes it so the cannon shot is extremely powerful, killing a ton of enemies and even invaders with a single shot. You have to use up some bone ash every time you fire, so yeah, it's not exactly practical, but it's a lot of fun. And even among the many badass weapon combos in Bloodborne, it may be one of the best. And number 3 is avoiding ash by setting yourself on fire in Postal 2. One of those very stupid things that only makes sense in the logic of a video game. What would be a better way to fight fire than with more fire, right? See, in Postal 2, there's the standard fire damage, which kills you pretty slowly, and comes from your usual fire sources like Molotov cocktails, and there's the sort of fire the game doesn't want you walking through. It kills you pretty much instantly. But there is a way to get through the deadly fire, so, I mean, listen up. And that's to set yourself on fire with the normal stuff. So in situations like the library in Day 2, instead of going through the trouble of navigating around the burning library, just toss a Molotov at your feet and walk out the front door. It's that simple. The game only recognizes one type of fire damage at a time, so as long as you're burning, you can't die from the environmental hazard fire. Only when you're talking about video games can you say something like that. Set yourself on fire to avoid death from fire. Nonsense like this is why we do love the video games.
Would you like to sign my petition?
Okay, I'll do it.
Thanks.
At number 2 is the Flying Fencer in Earth Defense Force 6. For starting players, the Fencer seems like the slowest and clunkiest class in the EDF games, but it secretly has the heart of a mobile suit within them. You just need an opportunity to make it happen. Just look at how these things move normally. They're slow as molasses. Actually, they might be slower. They're as slow as continental drift, to be frank. With the proper application of boosters, they become significantly faster. In the older games, you had to rely on dash canceling to get the most out of these guys, but the modern games basically have that mechanic built in with how boosting and dashing works. So instead of doing any of that, the trick now is to combine everything the game gives you in order to become an air dashing death machine zipping around the battlefield, and it makes you whirling dervish of death. Basic idea: equip one weapon that gives you a dash and one that gives you a boost, and then judiciously combine them to get up into the air and never stop boosting. You'll eventually have to touch the ground at some point, but as long as you use all your boosts before triggering a bunch of dashes, you'll be able to instantly get back up in the air to keep the aerial assault going.
The data.
It's something that takes a little bit of practice to get right, but when you do, you'll be able to take the slowest and clunkiest class in EDF 6 and turn them into badass ultra-mobile killing machines.
Ranger team has arrived. Rendezvous with them.
And finally, at number 1, it's Claire Obscure, killing the toughest boss in a single hit. Nothing quite as satisfying as the one-hit kill, especially in RPGs where boss fights can and often do go on for upwards of a half hour or more. It's usually not true in a game like Claire Obscure, where fights are meant to be fast and brutal, but there are some long and very tough battles in this game. Trying to take on the game's super bosses can be a brutal slog, but there's an extremely badass strategy that makes it possible to finish some of these guys off way quicker than it would normally take. There's a lot of setup involved dealing with various game mechanics, but the general idea is that you need to power up Mayel so that she can unleash the most powerful single ability in the game. Everything you're doing is meant to make it so she can use this one ability when it's the strongest, so you need full gradient charges and need to be in virtuose stance, which significantly increases the amount of damage you're doing overall. It requires a certain amount of planning, but once you understand the trick, it's not that hard to replicate. The only hard part is surviving long enough to actually use it.
Not today.
I can do it.
The main game might not be that hard. Some of the optional fights, though, are out of control. This trick is pretty much the best for a lot of situations, and for a lot of people, it's the only viable way to deal with some of these fights. So it's pretty well known among people who are actually playing it, but that doesn't take away from how badass the actual concept behind it is. That's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.